Put your hands together for Mr. Greg Anderson.
It's like the creator's dilemma. Should I create something or should I go create or sell it first, right? And at the end of the day, I couldn't figure out how to expand it. Like, this was my passion project, but how can I monetize it to grow?
So Greg's company solves a big problem for thought leaders, community leaders. Greg comes in, creates a technology that is so intuitive, so easy to use.
This one then was designed to do what I couldn't do before, but now I can turn that into any elite community-driven brand.
Welcome to Ignition Point, everybody. I'm Debbie Hart.
Sean Finnegan.
And today we have the Greg Anderson, CEO of Jedari.
Tell us
Yes, sir.
quickly, okay, the name Jedari, where'd that come from?
Yeah, Jedi-level technology wrapped in the elegance of Armani.
All right, I love that.
Jedi-level technology.
I mean, you're partnered then.
What's that?
You're a luxury kind of nerd.
Yeah,
person.
we're a luxury nerd.
Luxury
Like,
nerd.
I wanted to,
New
it's kind of
branding.
like if I were going to go to a black tie event, instead of
Yeah.
going to get an Armani suit, what if I could get like a Jedi tunic that was that nice?
Ooh, yeah.
That I could walk into a black tie at a Met Gala in a Jedi. That's what I'm talking about. That's
Well,
that.
like that
I happen to
visual.
know he likes to dress up. I saw him a couple weeks ago. We had an 80s night.
Yeah.
And he rolled in his 1980s skin tight, was it
Leopard
Python?
prints. Python.
Python pants.
That and
Yeah.
superimposed.
And he had
Yeah.
the cutoff jean jacket.
yeah,
you looked
yeah.
really, really good.
Nice.
I was
I
going to
love it. I
80s
dress
rock.
up too.
Yeah,
I
you
love
know?
it was
that.
definitely went the
Yeah.
rock route in the 80s.
At our office, we do these monthly like costume parties, which is themed, and then it's designed so that people just get out of their own heads and be in creative mode. Now imagine it's Pirate Day and you're in sales and everything you do is video sales. Well, they're getting on Pirate Day. Customer support's getting on, and they're going to chat with them in
Yeah.
outfit, and it helps us. Besides, it gets out of our own way, like
Mm-hmm.
mentality-wise, it doesn't make us think that we're that cool, but it brings that creativity and that fun. And I think our clients love it too, because they're just
Oh,
like,
I'm
man,
sure.
these guys are weird. I
Weren't you
love
Jack
it.
Sparrow?
I was Jack Sparrow.
Yeah,
once.
you pulled off a
Yeah.
really
Jack
good Jack
Sparrow.
Sparrow.
Jack Sparrow.
Can
Hey,
you
we
see
need
that in his
another
face?
picture.
Yep.
Yeah.
the big hat.
We'll
and
do
all the
another.
things.
We'll do another
So good.
podcast, but do it pirate themed.
Okay.
What do you
At
think?
Your
Done.
office. Like,
Done.
we'll come to your office and do an
And be
on-site
pirate?
interview
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the next costume day, whatever it is.
Nice. It just
Yeah.
you just make up a theme and we go with it.
Love it.
So
Yeah.
Greg's company solves a big problem for thought leaders, community leaders.
Yep.
Because a community leader in the past would try to go create a community around Meta,
Yep.
like on Instagram, Facebook, where they would basically give that community to another, company that had their own community, and it was kind of a leaking bucket trying to retain and hold on to this community. So Greg comes in, solves a big problem.
Plus, they could
creates-
shut you down at any moment.
That's right.
'Cause
Yeah,
it's
you could
somebody
be
else's
deplatformed.
platform.
100%.
Lose
Happens
that.
all the time.
Yeah, so you have no really control of your future. And
Yep.
so Greg comes in, creates a technology that is so intuitive, so easy to use, and it's a true community builder technology called Jedari.
Yeah.
And these thought leaders can get on and engage with the people in the community, and it is the
Own
best
their own
service.
platform.
Yeah, own the data. There was really interesting things like imagine you're a mastermind, right? Masterminds are super popular. Imagine it's a high-paid mastermind that's like $5,000 a year to $20,000 or $30,000, and you own it. You would have spent an enormous amount of time finding those clients and bringing them into your Meta group. Well, Meta knows all the content and all the conversations that are happening. At this moment in time, it's so intuitive that if I were sitting and let's say I'm at Home Depot and I'm just talking to Sean on a Saturday, I'm like, hey, Sean, I'm looking at this, particular lawnmower. That lawnmower will now show up in my ads because it's reading every word in the instant that you're writing it and it's giving ads. So now imagine I'm another mastermind. And I'm like, hey, I want to find people that are willing to spend $30,000 a year, but I want to target them inside their direct message campaign. Well, Meta just has all that data from you. So when you're like wanting to own a business, when it's like your lifeblood, owning the data is a piece, but it's also protecting all of your community members from all the other madness that's happening out there. Like we're trying to create safe containers for honest conversation, not what's happening right now. Even if it's a group today, your group members will still only see 2 or 3%, or 2 or 3% of your group members will see what you post. But they're like, yeah, I want to hear from them. They opt in to hearing from you. but they still won't.
But you say Meta only serves up a small percentage of your audience.
Always. They call it shadow banning
Yeah,
or
I've heard that
throttling.
term a
Yeah.
lot, yeah.
Yeah, and it's because of how big they are. You know, imagine you had 10,000 followers, and that 10,000 followers had 10,000. They followed 10,000 people. It's a lot of data to go into the wall. So there's a reason behind it. Like, it's not inherently evil, but when it's your people and you've cultivated that group, or it's your brand, and that group are like rabid fans, those are the people that keep you like a steady income when the markets are going up and down, when it's really hard to buy media or whatever, because you cultivate those fans, and they're the people you go to with your new products, or they're the people that you serve. So when you want to, you might as well be in a platform where, like you had mentioned, you own the content, you own the credit cards, you own the email, you own what happens, how the communications go, and you're the moderator. It's not some other, AI that's in the sky that you had no idea who it was or how that was created.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. What was your ignition point? Like, how did you come up with this?
I was living in Mexico studying with the Mayans, say 5-6 years ago. I did a 3-year stint where I was in and out of, I call it jungle time. Half of the time I was in the jungle, half like dirt floor. Half the time I was in a little apartment that was just outside of Tulum, Mexico. And I had this idea. I was traveling the world. I'd studied with monks. I had went to all these beautiful like meditation retreats and prayer retreats and met all these beautiful spiritual people. I was like, every time I go, I come home and I lose connection with them. How could I get that? How could I change that? And this idea came. I'm going to create a piece of software. That software had a name. It was called OneMind. It doesn't exist anymore. But the only reason somebody would open that app was iOS and Android, was to live stream a group meditation or prayer. And it was meant for those spiritual moments to have a safe private container, because every time we tried to hold these on Facebook, it felt like having a prayer in the middle of Walmart, just hackling and just people thing going on. And so I created that product. I launched it. I ran 1,000 meditations on it. And at the end of the day, I couldn't figure out how to expand it. Like, well, this is my passion project, but how can I monetize it to grow? And so spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, a lot of time on that thing. And then eventually I closed the doors. And a good friend called me with his problem. And his issue was he was on Facebook. He was running a coaching company. And he was billing hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in receivables. But he kept getting shadow banned on and off. And he's like, hey, could you help me craft something? And the original answer was, no, you want me to build $1 billion technology for one single company. The math just doesn't work. And we looked at it, the answer came back is, could we make it in a way that I could private label it to any company? And then that took me back to closing my doors at OneMind, because eventually I hadn't created it for anybody else to monetize or make money. It was created for us eventually to make ad revenue, but not the actual like meditation or church that was operating off of it. So this go around, everything was designed around multiple levels of monetization, because eventually everybody has to eat. Even if your passion project or even your church or whatever the community.
Passions into profits, right?
100%.
Yeah.
So this one then was designed to do what I couldn't do before, but now I can turn that into any, elite community driven brand.
It's so cool. I've seen it in action too. So you have this captive community and you can go live to it. So they're also not leaving the technology to go to Zoom or something else. It's all encompassed in one. So you can say, hey, going live, and you're at Home Depot and you're like, hey, I'm checking this thing out, or I'm here with this person. He just told me something incredible. And you can engage.
Yep. Instantly to your community. It replaces all the main communication things. Like, I'm going to use some names. We're not using their technology because we built it from the ground up. But if you took like a Zoom, a Facebook, a WhatsApp, and Stripe, and all of those had a baby, and then that baby was white labeled to other companies, that's what we do.
Nice.
So we took all those main like ways that people really love to engage with each other. Like you said, live streaming media is huge. It's like a consistent piece. If you're a band and you don't want to travel, well, what if you could just jam a live jam session from your living room once a month?
Yeah.
And your fans are like, what the heck? You've never allowed me to consume this much intimate content in your life. Like, this is amazing. So this was the inception, because we could see what was happening in big social, and it's beautiful. Meta, all the companies are great, and they really helped us rise as a
Yes.
world. And now what we're seeing is people want to tribe down to their own unique people, not just share their information out here because it's not owned by you the moment that you post it, right? But say, well, I want my people, if they care and they're trying to operate a brand, I want to protect that space. I want to make sure there's not trolls in there. I want to make sure what we do or don't allow in our community. And it's pretty much happening global, where people are like, well, that was great, but being active to 5 billion people or 2 billion people at a time isn't really doing it for me. I want my 20 people, or I want my 10,000 or my 100,000 people, whatever that size of group is.
Tell us about Godsmack.
Godsmack.
Yeah, the band, like you work with bands
Right.
that want to create their own community.
Right.
And some of those artists, or whatever it is, right?
They're able
Yeah.
to make having their own private platform.
Yeah,
with
because
you.
if you think about it, they have zero control of where their content goes
Spotify or
between
YouTube.
Instagram and Facebook. How do you tell
Yeah.
us about a specific one like that?
Yeah, I had a really good friend of mine about a year ago. He's a gold recording artist that was deplatformed in 2020. African-American man that voted for Trump, and his labels killed him. They literally shut him off everything,
Oh,
lost all his
boy.
money. And so he was rebuilding out of this. So we already had this idea that it could happen to anybody. And he shared with me some stats, and I was like, that can't be true. And it was. And on, say, Spotify, an artist gets paid 0.004 of a penny every time their music streams. Now, you have to have at least 50,000 streams in order to qualify. But that means if you get 1 million streams in a month, you made $4,000. That's 1 million streams. Now, some people probably listen to that 30 times themselves, like one song, because they loved it. But it just didn't sit right. So I redesigned another piece of technology that used to exist with somebody else and built in all music players and albums for musicians. It's the same technology that could work for a podcaster. But in that scenario, in the musician scenario, they say, okay, well, my super fans, that top 2 to 5%, they want to consume content from me all over the place. So let me create an application, iOS, Android, and web, and offer to them all of my music behind my paywall. So they get paid. And then offer, the types of things like jam sessions and intimate conversations and all the things that they want.
And they can also include maybe some recording stuff,
All of it.
as in they're practicing the song,
100%.
that kind of stuff.
Anything they want to post, because
Yeah.
it doesn't need to be quality or studio quality. And this artist in particular, he launches all of his new music a year in advance to his group, and then he puts it to Spotify or iTunes or whatever else. And we launched him, and it was a pretty big difference. Within about a month or two, I'm gonna just throw some numbers out there, but in that scenario, that $4,000 a month, well, that turned into $50,000 a month,
Right.
because of his private people. So because now he's capturing $5 a month or $10 a month, or even I think his highest tier was $49 a month to get on the VIP list for all the extra benefits. But so now you have somebody that is an artist that artists change our culture. They drive culture. And we've been just saying, hey, you can't make any money for a long time. And so now to give them the power to talk directly to their fans and, consume the content the way the fans want to, it's a life-changing experience for an artist.
Yeah, it's
Wow,
beautiful.
that is beautiful.
Yeah, it's been a fun project because we're able to help so many different kinds of people. We always serve one person, this one group, elite community-driven brands. They have to care about their brand to be a part of us. But it puts you in some really cool rooms.
I mean, Debbie's been doing this too. She has her community of followers and people. She has some rabid fans too. It's this is got to be speaking to your soul, right, Debbie?
Yeah, definitely. We should
Right?
start working together. But
Amazing.
we are going to start.
Yeah,
We
yeah, yeah,
started
yeah.
last week.
Yes.
So
Good.
tell us about some of the challenges that you faced building this company and then how you got through that.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting component because of, on one side, we're doing something that very few companies have been able to do. And that is, the only companies that have the same technology we have are multi-billion-dollar companies.
You're competing against
Massive companies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have two main, and they're not competitors because I don't really see other companies as competitors. We might go after companies. These are all $100 million companies, and they were funded with large sums of capital to build. and we bootstrapped out of Utah, right? This is my 380th software build. So I understand the process, but it's still a grind. And one of the most interesting things that happened to us that turned into like the best blessing. Our first community that we put on was the friend of mine that I told you that they called. He's a co-founder. He has a large community, about 1,000 people. I think it was about 2,000 people when we launched. And that means whenever he went live, about 900 to 1,000 people wanted to go live at the same time. And if I got nerdy on you guys for a minute, when you build a piece of software on, say, like Amazon Web Service, that's AWS, they have these things called autoscalers. And you just think, oh, well, if my traffic gets so big, if I think of it as a balloon, and I go a little bit past that, that autoscaler will allow me to infinitely grow. Sounds right? It's not true. Autoscaler is like a 5 to 10 minute experience. So let's say you do something really cool. All of your people want to hear from you right now, and they're all trying to log into your server at the same time. It crashes web servers all over the planet. Mm-hmm. And as a company, you have two options. You either spend an enormous amount of money on things that you're not going to use because you only need that extra bandwidth once in a while, or you re-engineer. And so the type of personality I am, I'm like, okay, I'm going to re-engineer. What are other companies out there in the world that manage large, quick volume? And so one of them is the New York Stock Exchange. So I said, great, what if we redesign our data, our really nerdy stuff around a specific product called Kubernetes? It runs that. We would have to take 1.5 years worth of work and not scratch it, but rebuild it all. Mm-hmm. But here's what's cool from that. Every person, every other company on the planet that does some kind of like community-driven experience, they have a cap of how many people can be on a single live stream of about 2,000. It ranges from 1,000 to 3,000, but the average is 2. Well, in our tech, when we figured it out, my current max is 200,000.
200,000 you can have on. Wow, those are some good numbers.
So there's challenges.
This is amazing.
Physical challenges around raising capital and employees, and how do you build in a down economy?
Yeah.
Right? It's a push. But there's also these blessings that come from something where you built it and you know how it operates. And also just having the experience in the space allowed me to build something that now these other, giant companies can't touch. So I compete with them on a daily basis for a fraction of the cost.
Wow.
Yeah.
What would you say in closing here? A couple of things. One is, let's say someone's watching this, they're a thought leader, they're a coach, they're a podcaster. Yeah. They want to say, they're like, this makes total sense to me. Like, I need to create my own. Like, what's the best way for them to engage with you on that front?
Jedari.com, Jedari. I almost lost it for a minute.
Check yourself.
Jedari.com is the easiest way to get in touch. There's a place to like book a call. Mm-hmm. And what I'd love to say to that person that's thinking about owning the community, or should I move off of social media or something else? Like, I look at our communities like as family. I look at them like kids without, talking down to them. And my whole job in my community is to protect them from other people that are vultures. Like in your, if you're holding your community on a platform like a Discord, there's so much fraud and scams that happen, and people can impersonate you any which way they want. Yeah. I've had literally thousands of fake accounts of me that are floating around in like Europe on fake dating sites.
Oh, dating sites?
Oh, it's horrible. I get contacted all the time.
On a random basis.
I get messages, and people are scammers. They steal money.
Right.
And so in this kind of a world, you're saying, no, I care enough. I might have to take some time. I might have to put some investment behind it. I might have to learn something new. But when you do, you're taking all of that love that you put into your brand, and you're saying, no, I'm going to protect you. In my world, somebody's not going to do that. I can't protect you out here, but when it's my brand and it's my message, I can protect you in here.
Yeah, it's so powerful.
That is powerful. We've both had our accounts cloned on Instagram, on Facebook. I don't know about any dating sites yet.
It's
Hopefully
coming.
not.
It's coming.
Okay, so in closing, what would you say? Someone is also watching this saying, hey, I really want to build my community. What was the top key to building a community?
You're saying from like scratch.
Yeah, so like, hey, I have a small community and I really want to grow this thing. Mm-hmm. How do they do it?
Yeah. First thing would be like contact somebody like us, right? They can say, hey, we can help you have a home for that, because
don't wait until they have the big following.
No, it's such an interesting thing. It's like the creator's dilemma. should I create something or should I go create or sell it first, right? And I've always found that if I create something and I get somebody to come into my community, even if it's for $1, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
It's like, should I spend 9 months recording a ton of previous content so I have it in the shelf, or should I just launch it?
Just launch it.
Every week.
Just launch it like you and your channel.
We talked about
Cal.
this on the way in. It's like,
Just
start
launch
that
it.
stops you, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Just go get a
And
start.
then you fix it as you go and you improve it as you go.
100%. In a live stream environment, why isn't your previous content what you're recording today? Right? Just record it, make it a repository. Oh, great. I have now 2 videos second week.
So that's
I didn't have
important
to do
because
it.
I think some people watching this saying, hey, I don't have a big following. I don't have what you're talking about, these big artists. but-
200,000 people
Yeah,
that live
but
stream in.
it's like for the small business owner that wants to create, where's customers, or you talked about within a business, you can get started now with
Yeah,
this.
imagine you're a doctor's office and you have 50 clients and you want to communicate with them on like the newest information. Well, doctors can't because that's FDA. If you post on social media, you can't talk about certain things like stem cells or whatever. But you know what? In your own community can. Even if that's only 10
Ooh,
people.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've even had people come on board that are just a family. They're like, we have 50 people in our family spread across the world, and we want everything from our social feeds to the content that we share to our live streams to just be our family. Can we do that? We're like, heck yeah, you can. So it doesn't have to be big.
I've seen so many creators have like four different apps for their people. It's like, hey, go here for Zoom, go here for this, go here for that. And you're like, okay, how do I engage
Do it all
versus
in
like
one.
talk about a leaking bucket compared to what you have.
Do you have
100%.
some training on your platform for not just for people how to use it, but for how to build a community? Do you have ideas and some training on
We
that?
do, but we
You
could
do?
always use more. Do you have some ideas you want to
I
put out
do.
there?
Well, let's do it together.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
I
right
literally
there.
just launched I just hosted created it myself, a 5-day
awesome.
social media challenge for business owners. And by day 2, they had clients reaching out to them. By day 3, some got author offers, podcast offers. So yeah, I'm great at creating curriculum, and
Yeah.
you're great at helping people monetize it. So
Yeah,
let's
we're
do
pretty
that.
much
Scale
everything.
business right here.
It's exactly.
Yeah, that's how it happens.
Right.
I try to focus in my wheelhouse, and my specialty is behind after somebody wants to buy. Like we're the fulfillment, all the things, we're the hows and the whys of running those components, but the experts like you are branding and sales. And so we, I
Front
do,
facing, yeah.
we do all the things we can to partner or joint venture or affiliates back and forth or whatever that looks like to help grow us all. Because like the most powerful thing I can do is do what I do best. And that's this, not necessarily the front facing components.
And I can do what I do best.
100%.
I think we just did a
like
deal.
You help me.
I'm pretty
Did we
sure
just do
we
a deal?
do.
I think we did.
You need
Ignition
Jedari. You
point.
need
There you
Jedari.
go.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You got to be on it with me.
Great to have you here.
Appreciate it. It was a
Really
pleasure.
appreciate your
Thank you
friendship.
so
Yeah,
much. It
thank
was
you.
an honor to share your story and your
Thank you.
business with everybody. So
Thank
I
you.
mean, you kind of went through the 3 years in the jungle. We
jungle
should
to
almost do
get
an
here.
episode on just what you
So
learned
if you
in 3
guys
years
need a new-
living
For sure.
in the
I know,
jungle.
we really do.
Right?
You don't
I mean,
have
that-
to spend 3 years in the jungle to come up with a business
Just
idea.
learn from Greg instead
Just
of
learn
doing
from
that.
Greg.
I agree. Don't do anything I've ever done.
Unless you
Yeah.
want to.
You're right. You don't have
Don't try this
to.
at home, kids. Just kidding.
You don't have to do 14 hours a day of meditation. You can, but you don't have to.
Oh, I've never hit 14 hours. That's
Yeah.
a new one.
I did
so
it for a year.
Appreciate it.
Great job. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.